Hello and welcome everyone. I'm HatTopGaming and welcome back for something special here on the channel. Today I'll be going over what it was like to put all of my gaming focus on trying to clear my backlog last year. What went right, what went wrong, changes I plan to make this year, and overall how the experience went and what I felt I got out of it. If you haven't already, go ahead and take a look at my last video related to this where I ranked all 53 games that completed last year and also gave out some awards for them as well. You don't have to, of course, but it will give you some more insights to how things went. But with all that out of the way, let's go way back to the beginning of how this all started. This whole attempt of actually trying to clear my backlog started back in 2024, with my very first backlog game being a replay of Arkham Origins. My Steam library has slowly but surely been growing, and it's only exploded since then. I completed 14 games I had never played before in 2024, so my first attempt at clearing my backlog didn't go so well. But it was also a really bad year for me personally. I'll spare you the details, but just know my ability to both play and enjoy games was heavily altered for a long time that year, but I still tried all the same. So come 2025, I wanted to make a real concentrated effort to actually really grind through it. At the time, I had over 800 games in my library, and as of recording of this video, I have over 1100. So yeah, I got a lot more games added to my backlog since the start of 2025. But of course, with any backlog run, there needs to be a plan. So here's how I set up mine. The first step, of course, was creating a formula for figuring out how and what I would play. The main thing I did was having my girlfriend pick 3 random letters, and from there I gave her 3 games from each letter to choose from randomly. I did a few different versions of this, even just having her pick the letters and then I would choose the game myself. As you may imagine though, this didn't always work, as sometimes I just wouldn't be in the mood to play whatever got picked. I was also making a concentrated effort to play older titles I'd always wanted to play but never had. I didn't set any time restrictions or limitations on myself, because I've seen other YouTubers try to do that and it really only ends up bogging down the experience, so I didn't want to have anything like that happen. By creating meaningless deadlines, that would only hinder my ability to actually enjoy playing the games themselves. I simply just wanted to have a goal of beating as many as I could, and I wanted to keep a pace of about 4 games a month, which I thought would be more than manageable. Because in reality, not every game is some 30 plus hour long adventure. There's hundreds of smaller indie games and sub 10-hour experiences in my backlog, so I did my best to keep a good mix of a larger scale games, surrounded by indies and so on. I was playing anywhere between 2 to 6 games at a time, really just rotating between them depending on what I was in the mood for. I would have 1 or 2 mainline story games, say like a Dead Space, Vampire, or Max Payne, games with a bigger emphasis on story that would take up the bulk of my playing time. Then I usually have 2 to 3 smaller indie games. I play a few missions at a time, just randomly throughout the week, say like King of the Bridge, Agent Intercept, Death and Taxes, and so on. Games that didn't require much attention, and I knew I could beat them in short order if I really tried to. It was my way of keeping things fresh, with these games coming and going pretty frequently. The last category really came down to one of two things. Either a game I thought would be really hard, like say Hades, Doom Eternal, or Toxo, or I would pick a game that had come out some time ago, say like a Halo Reach, Star Wars Republic Heroes, Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes, you get the picture. Besides that, of course, I had games like 2K, Chivalry 2, or Marvel Rivals when all I wanted was some simple turn off your brain kind of fun. And this rotation I had going worked really well for most of the year. But that was a problem. It didn't always work. In January, I completed 7 games, the next month 3, then 4, none in April, 2 in May, 5 in June, 2 in July, 4 in August, 5 in September, 2 in October, 12 in November, and then finally 7 in December. The obvious footnote, without explicitly stating what games I was playing and when, the fact is I didn't beat any games in April. It didn't take long for the inevitable grinding of games to start to feel like a chore. I was playing for efficiency. And honestly, I got stuck playing some games that either had long, rough patches, or the games I had started playing just weren't really all that entertaining to me. But if I knew if I uninstalled them and started downloading new games, I wouldn't go back to them. So I stalled out. I spent all of April just playing 2K and Chivalry 2. It reminded me a lot when I was a teenager, and the only games I played were 2K and Battlefield 3 or Black Ops 2, with little else in between. But this time it wasn't because I couldn't afford to buy anything or play anything else, I just hit a wall that I knew I could climb, I just wasn't in the mood to. Really, that was the biggest lesson from that first year, knowing when to hold them and knowing when to fold them. Of the 52 games I completed this past year, 3 of them were outright bad in my opinion. I completely dropped and uninstalled 6 of them outright, all for different reasons, and I completed 17 games that fell into the mid category for me. Maybe 2 or 3 could have been bumped up, maybe 2 or 3 could have been bumped down. I had 18 games that I ranked as good, 9 that I ranked as great, and 4 titles that were up for my game of the year. Needless to say, my experience with gaming in 2025 was all over the place. But I firmly believe that unless a game is outright terrible or horribly buggy and broken, you should finish it. You may not have fun doing it, but in my own experience, I can say how many games have redeemed themselves at the end, even if getting there was a mess. Mind you, I hadn't started making reviews on anything until about mid-August, so I had months worth of frustration with no real way to validate the time I spent. But now with all of you listening, if I have a game I really didn't like, I cannot put it into video form and at least complain to you guys. The second lesson I learned was the one I didn't really need to, but due to my own need to make up for lost time, I missed out on playing games I knew I wanted to. When scrolling through my library for games, I would sort them by either Metacritic score, date added to the library, or time to beat, and so on. While doing this, of course, I would see certain titles pop up repeatedly, and I would think, man, I really want to play that. But now isn't the time. Either because my life was too busy and I wouldn't be able to focus on the game like I'd want to, I knew it would take me weeks, if not over a month, to beat. Sometimes I just looked at the release date and I would say, man, that came out too recently. I need to beat games that came out before that. Or as the year came closer and closer to its end, I would think about how I need to beat more games, not start new ones that I knew would take up a lot of time. I was playing for efficiency. I was playing catch up after 3 months of not a whole lot of movement. I really had to take a step back and realize how efficiency wasn't the problem. I could beat games quickly without really trying. What I needed to remember was why I was doing this to begin with. Clearing my backlog was only going to be as useful to me as I allowed it to be. If I wasn't going to enjoy the games properly, then it would defeat the point of even playing them. So this year, I knew how to make a change. Coming into 2026, I made a list of games I really wanted to play, that for one reason or another, I had completely written off as something I just wouldn't be able to manage. Mind you, when I play games, I play them at my pace. I'm not rushing to get to the end. I'm doing side quests, gathering collectibles, sometimes even achievement hunting. I'm allowing myself to get lost in these worlds when and as often as I like. The only time I don't is because I've either had my fill and I'm ready to move on, or the game itself just never really got me a reason to care. As of the recording of this video, we're somewhere in February now, and I completed 8 games in this year already. I have a number of games I plan to finally play this year that I've been delaying for one reason or another, and this year I really just want to have more of a time to actually play the games I've been delaying. Games that I know are going to take me a long time to beat, but games that I've really wanted to play the last few years. I'm not going to focus on efficiency this time. My only real goal is to beat 40 games this year at minimum, and I'm already ahead of schedule. I'm going to be making videos on every single game I play, as now I have the whole year to cover instead of just a few short months to cover some select games. This year, without even trying, I think I'm going to eclipse 60 games. Not because I'm playing games efficiently like before, but because I'm no longer trying to hit any goals whatsoever. Now I see just how much more I can do when I have even less restrictions on myself. Now I can really turn the corner and get ahead of this growing monster in my Steam library. When I started doing all this, I actually started because I watched a YouTube video about attacking the backlog. And there were so many things that were being done wrong that instantly, when the YouTuber themselves were explaining the restrictions they were putting on themselves, it only just made it seem more counterproductive than anything else. So when I started doing this myself, like I said, I just didn't have any restrictions. But that didn't stop me from restricting myself with unwritten rules. Alongside that, I stopped trying to set up rules to try to keep things even on what games I play. Now I just go through my library, I find what I want to play in that moment, and then I just download it. At the same time too, I also just stopped pretending to like play games I didn't really want to. If a game doesn't hook me within the first hour or two, I'm just gonna drop it. I'll come back to it later. There's too many games in my library to try to focus on one that I know I don't really care for. Though that being said, I do sometimes still drag my feet on completing certain games because I know there's something there. It's just, I don't really want to play it in that moment. But I'm going to keep it installed because I know I'll eventually come back to it. But that's going to do it for me today, guys. I really hope my personal story about telling you about all this stuff can help you guys with your own backlog experiences. I'm HatTopGaming. If you're interested in any of the stuff that I talked about today, just know I also do video essays alongside my backlog reviews. I've also done a number of them this year, and I have plenty more in the pipeline. So if any of that interested you, don't forget to like and subscribe. Again, I'm HatTopGaming. Thank you all for listening. If you have any thoughts or comments, make sure to leave them down in the comment section down below. Make sure to follow me on social media as well. I'm constantly posting on Twitter about whatever I'm doing. Thank you again for listening. I'm HatTopGaming. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all later. Peace.